Tim, I am so excited to get a chance to finally talk to you about this. Do you agree with that? I mean, you've been covering Donald Trump for a really long time. Would he flip on his own children, his accountant, including Ivanka, too?
I would put a question mark next to Ivanka, and I would put an undoubtedly next to everybody else.
Wow.
I just think, loyalty is a one-way street in Trumplandia. It flows towards Donald Trump, and it does not go in any other direction. And he does not have emotional bonds with people. He has financial bonds with people. And if everyone around him now has to debate whether or not they want to face a criminal charge and the possibility of going to prison or getting a larger salary next year from Donald, I think they're going to choose to rat out Donald the first chance they get. And I think that's why it's so significant that Allen Weisselberg's now under a criminal investigation, because it breaks open this huge crack in the facade of the Trump organization.
Wow. Let me tell you one more piece of what Michael Cohen said to me last night. And this is about Mr. Weisselberg's role in the company. Take a listen.
Allen Weisselberg knew every single dollar in and every single dollar, not even dollar, to the penny. Every single penny in and every penny out went through Allen Weisselberg's desk and then reported before and after to Donald J. Trump.
The reason that struck me, Tim, is that that is almost identical to what you told me back when I was hosting AM Joy years ago. And I can
Before
still
you became
picture
the queen of late night television. Yeah.
I remember sitting at a desk and you saying the key to Donald Trump's fate is Weisselberg. He knows everything. What could he give the feds? I mean, give the prosecutors if he flipped?
Well, I think we had that conversation, Joy, around the time that Michael Cohen first had his offices raided by the FBI. And I think what I said at the time was, Michael carried out tasks and assignments for Donald, but he wasn't the crypt keeper. And the crypt keeper is Allen Weisselberg and another individual, Jason Greenblatt, whose name I imagine at some point has to surface in this. I'm not saying he's done anything criminally, but the two people inside the Trump organization that had to put a rubber stamp on every document were Allen Weisselberg and Jason Greenblatt. Jason Greenblatt was the in-house counsel. Trump made him a special envoy to Israel while he was president, but he knows a lot too. And this is not a big, complex company. It was a mom and pop shop. So the layers that investigators have to plow through around knowledge and culpability are very shallow. It's Donald and these two gentlemen, and then anyone else around them, which was a very narrow group of people. Allen Weisselberg not only handled the corporate taxes every year, he handled Donald's personal income taxes. And he's been in the company since he and Donald started together in the mid-1970s. They grew up together in the company. Allen Weisselberg began as Fred Trump's accountant. And he has his own lawyer now because he's under criminal investigation. Other people inside the organization, including Trump's children, are going to be wondering whether or not they need to lawyer up themselves. And once that begins to happen in a white-collar investigation, everybody jumps ship and figures out how to protect themselves. So this is a pretty significant moment, I think, in this whole investigation.
Well, and now that we know that there's an ongoing criminal investigation into Weisselberg, knowing what you know about him, would he flip on Donald Trump?
I think ultimately he will, because he's seen Donald Trump throw so many people under the bus now for decades, and without blinking or regretting it. And I think he knows that Trump wouldn't hesitate to blow him up if it allowed him to protect his own hide. I think it really depends on the seriousness of this investigation. What kind of potential charges come along down the road, and then what are the possible criminal penalties associated with that. And that's the kind of stuff that Allen Weisselberg's going to weigh. But I don't think he'll be loyal to Trump in the end, no.
You are one of the few people who's ever sat in a deposition and been able to depose Donald Trump. And this was over him lying about his net worth, and you tell the truth about it and him being upset about that. Does this come down to Donald Trump upping the value of his empire, which he basically gutted of his father's empire? He took it and, sort of crashed it. Or is it about him lowering the value of his empire not to pay taxes, or is it some combination of both? What are we talking about here?
It's a combination of both. It's him going to bankers and saying this piece of property is worth $400 million. and I want a loan against it. And then telling a tax assessor or someone else that it's worth half that amount because he wants to keep his tax bills low. That's a very simplified version of the kind of stuff that's in play here. I think also making claims to insurers that he's had extensive damage as a property like Mar-a-Lago when in fact he hasn't, and getting tens of millions of dollars in payouts for those that he might not have been entitled to. Money laundering is certainly going to be something they're looking at here. Trump has had intersections with organized crime figures since his 20s. Donald Trump turns 75 next month. He has 55 years of intersections with nefarious people who oftentimes resided in his buildings, who he did business with up until he was president. And in one of the, still some of the unplowed territory in the Trump story is the extent to which everything he did in the White House was financially motivated. And it was disappointing that Mueller didn't go down that road enough, but you now have two New Yorkers who are. And I think the more they ferret out the financial issues, I think you're going to start to get a lot of things explained.